Well, the spotlight is firmly on the leading presidential candidates as they travel the country and rally for votes. But one part of the population remains largely forgotten, people with disabilities. In INEC's register of voters, people with albinism account for 24% of the register, and people with blindness 9.5% and deafness 7%. So, what's INEC doing to ensure marginalized people have their votes? That's a question and more.
Indeed, very important questions. And Jake Epelle is the CEO and founder of the Albino Foundation and is disability inclusion champion. He is a disability inclusion champion. Well, he joins us live in the studio. Thank you so much for being a part of the news tonight.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
For having me.
I mean, a critical question I'd like to ask you is, how inclusive is the Nigerian electoral process? How inclusive is the Nigerian election?
Well, to answer directly to you, I would say we have begun the process of what I will call true inclusion, driven by science. I'm sure you're aware that the INEC chairman presented one of our projects at Chatham House a few days ago, right. The data, the dashboard, that will solve the riddles around non-inclusion, because now we've been able to pinpoint polling unit by polling unit where not only persons with albinism but persons with disability are spread out in disaggregated manner. So we're able to say there are 14 persons with albinism in polling unit A, 10 persons who are blind, 20 who are deaf, and so on and so forth. So it's a process that not only will tell INEC where the clusters of persons with disability are, but also how INEC can distribute the very meager resources that they have, the electoral resources, like magnifying glasses,
Braille papers.
Braille, yes. And of course, we're also focusing on the procedure. INEC has the product, they also have the procedure. We're focusing on the procedure. How will person with albinism use the magnifying glasses? How will the blind be led to the polling unit? And what will that individual do? And that's why we are grateful to Arise, and especially your very kind-hearted chairman, who had approved for us to be on your morning show. And we'll be there explaining to the community of persons with disability what the products are that will make this forthcoming election truly inclusive, and what are the procedure.
And this is not to, just to clarify for the viewers, this is not a one-time show.
No, it's
You're
not.
having a segment on the morning show.
Yes.
Great.
Fantastic. And I'm excited about it. And, you know, well, I don't know. I'm a friend of many media houses, but the morning show is one of the best.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, we walk the talk around here. And we're looking forward, of course, to seeing your segment on the morning show every day, Monday through Friday,
Monday
right?
through Friday.
Fantastic.
Monday through Friday.
So
we'll be there telling everyone with disability what to do to get involved in the election. And if you have a person with disability in your family, it's also your duty to inform that person, because we want everyone to vote. One of our greatest problems is voter apathy.
Fantastic. I mean, you took it right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you, yes, you're impressed with INEC's preparedness so far, especially as it affects persons living with disabilities. What are the other areas of concern for you, and how best do you think INEC can address those issues before the elections?
I think generally being able to train their ad hoc staff and their main staff to understand what the Electoral Act say. The Electoral Act section 54, subsection 1 and 2 strategically position inclusivity in the electoral process. And that's what we want to do. Security is our concern. The ability for the ad hoc staff to understand issues like priority voting. I didn't vote until I was 58.
Wow.
You know, yeah, I didn't vote because, one, I'm a skin cancer survivor. So if I further expose myself in the sun, I'll pick up more skin cancer. So I didn't want to vote until we advocated and succeeded in ensuring that there is priority voting. In other words, if I go to the polling unit, I'm allowed to vote first and then leave.
Right, that's quite... on the issue of violence, how are persons living with disabilities impacted? And I'd also like you to address the issue of people in the IDPs. They are also disadvantaged.
Exactly.
Over 3 million of them.
Exactly.
What are you finding out, and how do you think INEC can close those gaps?
Well, for persons with a disability, incidentally, we have interface with both community. For persons with disability, we have developed what we call the inclusive guide for inter-security agencies. Because I was in one of the meetings today, and I told one of the security agents, I said, listen, my problem is that because I'm short-sighted, I mean, you're my friend, but you know how many times I've passed you without recognizing you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my wife is out there waiting for me. There are times we've been in a party and I couldn't see her, you know. So if there's any security breach, and maybe a security agent says, wave with a hand and said, everybody move this way, I won't see you. So I'm most vulnerable, you know. And so it's important for security agents to understand our needs and what the provisions are, and them being able to implement it. But on our own part, we're taking it on our own part to educate persons with disability. You don't have to put yourself in harm's way. You don't have to expose yourself unnecessarily. The IDP camp, I was there, and I'm telling you, my heart is broken. The level of poverty and neglect. A few months ago, we took 326 packs of food to 326 families in the IDP, you know. And so the thing is, many of them have moved from their polling unit, and there are chances are that they are not going to vote. And so, thank God I have access to the INEC chairman. I'm trying to address that issue. What can we do to make sure they will get the intervention they need? Because they are Nigerians. If they are disenfranchised, Nigerians have been disenfranchised. Who knows? There could be the future president of this country who is in that camp. Absolutely. And that's why nobody should take anybody for granted.
Rightly said.
So, yeah.
You know, the INEC chairman has been talking about inclusive elections, and you did mention clause 54, subsection 1 and 2, yes, mandating INEC to provide, you know, special provisions for people living with disabilities. But when I look at the breakdown for those who have been registered, the voter distribution for this election, and I'm looking, albinism 21,000, autism just a little over 3,000. In all, my maths may be poor. If we have that, we have that slide up. My maths may be poor, but a sum up of all these numbers I see is not up to 1 million.
No,
Tell us, how significantly poor is this?
This data, it's a matter of fact, what we did was we went to INEC and took the data, because you can have a data, but you need a good data analyst to be able to use it. So we have created a dashboard for INEC with proper distribution. Yes, but rightly said, this is just a small number of data from the time the exercise started till now. Now, there are persons with that disability who had registered previously before this scientific exercise. They are still there. So I want to assume that we will have close to 16% of the entire electorate.
Of the 93
yes,
million.
Yes, I want to assume. And that's why every candidate and any candidate who takes us for granted, you're likely to lose this election.
And you took it as the next line of conversation.
Anything from
yes,
them?
what have you heard from them?
Addressing your issues.
And have you had conversations with them? What sort of conversations are you having with the candidates?
Yeah, number one, I'm strictly apolitical. I don't endorse anyone, and I will never endorse anyone because I'm an umpire. So strictly speaking, I have met with 2-3 of the presidential candidates, and I was taken aback that their so-called blueprint, or whatever they call it,
Manifestos.
had nothing to do with persons with disability.
At all.
Wow.
I confronted 2 candidates on a live television, and one tried to be defensive, even when I gave him a soft landing. I said, listen, I've looked at your blueprint, you know, because, well, without blowing my trumpet, I'm a UN ambassador for albinism, and so whatever I say carries weight. Yeah, so I was very careful. I quickly took a cursory look at the blueprint, and I turned around and I said, sir, your blueprint has nothing to about.
Are you still going to be engaging
Oh,
them
yeah.
to ensure that, you know, their manifestos
whenever I have the
reflect
public opportunity, because I don't want private invitation, I don't go to any of their invites. You know, whenever I have that public opportunity to engage them respectfully and honorably, I will. But right now, none of them have impressed me with strategic intervention for persons with disability.
I know you did mention that you do have access to the INEC chairman, and you've been working